folks. Well, welcome to Coffee and Colossians on Monday, and we're back on the balcony, and just glorious. For me, winter here is superb. I was speaking to somebody from Dubai who's saying that winter in Dubai is fantastic, and I think winter here is superb. And today has just been a beautiful day. And we are continuing to look at Colossians chapter 3. We've looked at wives and husbands, and now we're on children. And just to say that, of course, as we do this, this is all done in the context of what's gone before, Christ. So this is saying, what should a Christian home be like? This is addressed, interestingly, this letter is addressed to children in the church. I always think it's really important to address children and young people. Now, you'll notice they're addressed as responsible members of the congregation. And they're given a very strong command. They're urged to obey rather than just submit. It's a stronger word than submit. And it's to be an expression of their commitment to the Lord. I did a mission in Livingston once, and I got a phone call from a very irate mother. It was a children's mission. I went round to see her because she was obviously very upset about something. And she told me that her child had come home from the club. And when she had asked him to, she'd asked him to do the dishes, he basically swore at her and said he didn't need to because he was now a Christian, he didn't have to do what his parents said. Well, he clearly didn't understand what a Christian is, because a Christian does have to do what their parents say. My parents have been appointed by God. Now, that doesn't give parents an absolute authority. If my parents ordered me to steal, or to kill somebody, or to disobey God in any way, we don't have to do that. But it's still a very strong command. Now, there's another aspect of this that fits with our culture really well. Disobedient children are a real sign of decay in society. I was thinking about this today, actually, before knowing this was the verse, because the state cannot bring up children. There's lots of things the state can't do and shouldn't attempt to do, and one is bring up children. That really is the responsibility of parents. Now, of course, there are exceptions. Maybe the parents are particularly bad, maybe the parents are dead and the children are orphans, or the children have been rejected or neglected. But in general, as a general principle, it's parents who should bring up their children. And disobedient children are a real sign of decay in society. So Romans 1:30 says this: since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, he gave them over to a depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They disobey their parents. It's a sign of a depraved society. Or 2 Timothy 3:1, but mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents. In Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 3, it says there are no spoilt children in God's family. And he goes on to talk about enduring. Verses 7, verse 6 of Hebrews 12, the Lord disciplines the one he loves. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you're not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. A father or a mother who refuses to discipline their children is a cruel person. Now, I don't want to make the exact comparison, but my daughter has a dog, a puppy, and herself and her husband are having to discipline that dog. Now, my inclination is to spoil the dog, but the dog needs discipline for its own good. If the dog ate whatever it wanted, if the dog could go wherever it went, it would have a miserable life. And it's the same with children. And I cannot think of anything more important that a parent can do than to love and to bring up their children in the fear and knowledge of the Lord. And I think it really is Christ-centered. Hebrews chapter 5 verse 8 says this: although Jesus was a son, he learned obedience from what he suffered. Even Jesus learned obedience. And our children have to learn obedience. And we have to learn. And I'm thinking how far this goes. So when you grow up, when you get married, or when you move away from home, it's not that you don't care for your parents. You have to. It's the right thing to do. But obviously you're not under the same authority. When you're 3 years old, it's much more of an absolute authority. When you're 30 years old, it's much less. But there is the command is to honor your parents. And I think the more I've gone on in life, the more I see how important that is. So I think this is a really, really practical teaching for us and for our culture. And I guess the challenge personally to everyone who's watching, to what extent, if your parents are still alive, do you honor them? To what extent do parents train their children? We'll come on to that, more of that tomorrow. But it's really, how do we regard our parents? And as a culture, how do we regard parenthood? I don't think personally, as a culture, we regard it highly enough. And I think, sadly, that means that children don't regard their parents as highly sometimes as they should. So God bless you. We shall see you again tomorrow. I'll try and get a bit earlier. This is just, the sun's just going down, and as you can see, it is gorgeous. See you tomorrow. Bye.